In the television landscape, sitcoms have long leaned on a specific, overcooked formula: marriage as a punchline. For decades, shows have mined the institution for gags about ball and chain husbands, nagging wives, loveless unions, and the ever-present fear of settling down. The trope has endured because it's easy, recognizable, and has often been culturally safe. But in young Sheldon's final season, a surprising and quietly revolutionary twist happened. Georgie Cooper and Mandy McAllister got married, and it wasn't played for laughs. It wasn't a catastrophe or an ironic disaster. It was sincere, layered, and maybe the best thing to happen to the sitcom genre in years. This subversion matters, because for too long, sitcom marriages, especially among young people, have been depicted either as premature disasters, think Ross and Rachel's Vegas wedding in Friends, punchline-laden mismatches, Barney and Robin in How I Met Your Mother, or long-suffering, ironic institutions, Everybody Loves Raymond, King of Queens, and the list goes on. But Georgie and Mandy's story says something different. Sometimes love comes early, fast, unplanned, and it works because the people involved work at it. The sincerity trope switch: Georgie and Mandy, on paper, don't scream perfect couple. He's a dropout from a deeply traditional Texas family. She's older, more independent, and fiercely resistant to letting people define her life. When she gets pregnant in season 6, most viewers and characters brace for the usual sitcom spiral: resentment, conflict, and comic chaos. Instead, young Sheldon surprises us. The show leans into realism instead of ridicule. It portrays young parenthood not as a sitcom circus but a real emotional pivot point. Georgie grows up. Mandy opens up. And when they decide to marry, it's with mutual care, not desperation. This marriage does something many sitcoms fear. It takes a young, flawed couple and allows them to be serious. Not perfect. Not idealized. But serious. Their relationship is treated not as a running joke but as an evolving arc with emotional stakes. In a genre that's often afraid of letting characters mature without irony, this is quietly radical. Breaking the "too young to settle down" cliché. Another tired sitcom trope that Georgie and Mandy disrupt is the idea that young people shouldn't settle down, and that if they do, it's a temporary, doomed, or comedic situation. Georgie is only in his early 20s when he proposes to Mandy. That's usually sitcom shorthand for, he'll mess it up spectacularly. But he doesn't. He wants to be a good father and partner. He makes mistakes, but he listens. He adapts. Mandy, on the other hand, could have been written as the sarcastic, exasperated older partner, a sitcom staple. But she's not. She doesn't patronize Georgie. She's cautious but never cruel, grounded but not emotionally shut off. She takes time to trust, to forgive, and ultimately, to love. Together, they form a portrait of a young couple navigating unexpected adulthood with awkwardness, humor, and heart. And yes, there's comedy, but it's organic, not mocking. It's rooted in their personalities and situations, not in the premise that marriage is inherently ridiculous. A quiet revolution in a quiet show. Young Sheldon has always been more contemplative than its parent show, The Big Bang Theory. Where the latter thrived on high-volume laughs and broad stereotypes, young Sheldon plays like a dramedy disguised as a family sitcom. It's more interested in emotional nuance than punchline density, and Georgie and Mandy's arc is a perfect example. Their wedding isn't flashy. It's not the center of a "will they or won't they" cliffhanger. It's just real. It's a small ceremony, and their lives continue. There's something quietly profound in that choice. Sitcoms love weddings as finales or bombshells. But what if a wedding was just another part of life? What if it wasn't the end of a romance arc, but the start of a new phase? That's what Georgie and Mandy's marriage feels like. A beginning. A messy, hopeful beginning. Why this matters: we need more of this on television. More stories where young marriage isn't automatically tragic or comical. Where a working-class couple raising a child isn't shorthand for dysfunction. Where commitment isn't the end of individuality. Sitcoms have conditioned audiences to expect failure from early marriages, or, worse, to laugh at them. But real life is more complex. People fall in love young. They have babies young. They grow together, or try to. And sometimes, they beat the odds. That's not boring. That's not cliché. That's compelling. By shifting away from the sitcom marriage as tragedy trope, young Sheldon doesn't just tell a better story. It tells a truer one. Georgie and Mandy's journey feels earned. It shows how people can change, how responsibility can grow from chaos, and how love can emerge from the most inconvenient circumstances. It also reflects a broader cultural moment. Millennials and Gen Z, who grew up on the cynical sitcoms of the 2000s, are reimagining what stability and love look like. We're seeing more appreciation for earnest storytelling, fewer ironic detours into emotional detachment. Young Sheldon, despite being a prequel to one of the most irony-heavy shows of its era, manages to feel refreshingly sincere. The future of the sitcom Marriage as Young Sheldon concludes, and Georgie and Mandy get their spin-off, Georgie and Mandy's First Marriage. There's real opportunity here. Their new show could deepen this narrative. It could explore the realities of young parenthood, the trials of marriage, and the complexities of growing up with someone by your side, all without falling back into tired tropes. Imagine a sitcom that embraces the chaos of early adulthood without making it a punchline. One that portrays emotional intimacy not as weakness but as resilience. One that remembers sitcoms can be both funny and kind. Georgie and Mandy's marriage isn't a happily ever after ending. It's not a fairy tale. It's better. It's two people choosing each other every day, with all the flaws, awkwardness, and grace that entails. And maybe, just maybe, it marks the beginning of a new sitcom era. One where marriage is more than a joke. Where love is not something to be feared or mocked, but something to be honored, explored, and yes, even celebrated. Let me know if you'd like to adapt this into a script, review, or include references to specific episodes.